Being a MAGA Republican is the #1 turnoff of women 18 to 34?
That's what a new poll says, but is it an accurate cross-section of women?
A poll done recently by Change Research, which I grabbed from the Daily Mail, asks men and women to rate traits based on green, beige, or red flag level in sort of things they'd like to see in their partner. And the #1 thing for women, which was a red flag, is they identify as a MAGA Republican. Dude, what's a MAGA Republican?
This is unbelievable. A MAGA Republican is a phrase the media likes to use when they want to portray conservatives as mean, evil people. I would be what you would call a MAGA Republican, except I absolutely hate the Republican Party, and I don't use the term MAGA to identify myself. I love Trump, not all of him, but most of him. I never call myself a Republican, and I have never once in real life told anybody, I'm a MAGA Republican.
That's definitely a leftist made-up word for sure. Yeah, no one refers to themselves in the first person as a MAGA Republican. You know what? I sort of am on the political scale. I'm a MAGA Republican. It just doesn't
and I
happen,
think it dates back like a few months ago when they were, they kept saying extreme MAGA Republicans are a problem in this country. They poll tested extreme MAGA Republicans, the phrase, and decided, oh yeah, that one's really working for us. So
in fact, Hillary Clinton just recently blamed MAGA Republicans for the warm temperatures across the United States this summer.
Hillary, how do you decide like between what a Republican is and what a MAGA Republican is? Because the majority of the Republican Party, I hate to break it to you, is voting for Trump.
MAGA Republican, which stands for Make America Great Again, was also used way back in the day, dude, like 45 years ago with this guy.
That's why I'm running for president.
Only one man has the proven experience we need. Ronald Reagan for president. Let's make America great again.
That Ronald Reagan, I knew he was an extremist.
Yes. Are they talking about this guy?
That together we can make America great again. I want to attack these problems and make America great again.
Paid for by Clinton for president.
What?
And now you are being called upon, every one of you, to secure a better future for your children and your grandchildren and to make America great again economically, educationally, and socially. It's time for another comeback. Time to make America great again. I know Hillary's the one who can do it.
Paid for by Hillary Clinton for president.
I'm Hillary Clinton.
Paid for by Hillary Clinton for president. Yeah.
By the way, it's worth pointing out, Change Research surveyed 1,000 registered voters between the ages of 18 and 34. So this is a very young audience. On top of it being a super young audience, they recruited these respondents through targeted advertisements using Facebook and also text messages. I don't think we're getting a normal cross-section of respondents here.
#2, they have no hobbies. Okay, yeah, like if you're kind of a loner sitting in your basement and not knowing what to do, like, it's kind of a red flag. Like, what the hell are you doing with your life?
Yeah, and if you're hooked up with someone with no hobbies, they look at you as like their only thing to do. So you don't want that. You want to have some like alone time too. You know?
Moving on to #3 for red flags in a partner. They say all lives matter. I'm going to cue up my boy Bill Maher for this response.
There was a sports announcer in Sacramento who tweeted, "All lives matter," and immediately got fired, even though he apologized and said he just didn't understand. What he said came from a place of ignorance, not racism. That difference is important. Someone could have just explained to him why there's a deservedly special reason we single out black lives for protection. But now, instead of a possible ally, we create a bitter, unemployed person.
Agreed.
Yeah, man. Laid down perfectly by the king of common sense, Bill Maher. #4, people who say there are only 2 genders.
And look at the difference between women and men. 58% of women consider that a red flag, only 34% of men. I'd also argue the 34% of men are like all Democrats.
Like, what if you're Christian? Or what if that's what you were taught? Being pro-trans and saying that there are 2 genders shouldn't, cancel each other out. They identify as a communist. Huge red flag.
Women, only 55% object, 64% of men. First of all, this should be like 95% of men. And why are women so... That means half of women are down with communism. That's terrifying.
I think that, it's the empathy card, right?
I mean, if you ask anybody who's in support of communism, you ask them, How many people did Mao kill? They don't even know who Mao is. Ask them how many people Stalin killed or Lenin killed.
Right. And this is sort of trickling down to the next one. They listen to Joe Rogan. So Gen Z is perceiving Joe Rogan as the enemy because he's MAGA, right? Because he's in Texas now. And, he has all these conspiracy theorists on. And not to mention that he's the #1 podcaster in the world. And he has great guests and he's a great conversationalist.
And half these things that women object, actually more than half that women object to or have a problem. And when I say women, I mean 18 to 34-year-olds, because those are different than women, okay? This is a very soft, inexperienced, like delicate, sensitive generation. If you're a woman and you don't like Joe Rogan, or you at least just don't tolerate him, you're a problem. I don't want to date you because you're a weak person who's offended by things. It works both ways in this poll. They tried to cast this whole poll as being anti-Rogan, and this is the headline they chose out of this whole poll. Millennial and Gen Z women find partners listening to Joe Rogan's podcast a red flag. So it gives you the impression that like the entire poll is going to be like about Rogan and his podcast and how terrible it is. It was one question in the poll.
So we're sort of extrapolating some other stuff for you guys and sort of breaking down, but it all seems to fall under the same umbrella, man.
And look what they did. Of course, the huge, like, full-length, wide photo they chose was of Joe Rogan. They tried to make this whole thing about Joe Rogan, and then they barely mention him inside the article. They talk about all the... And, of course, they put this in here. It's like, oh, it's Joe Rogan. It's also Trump. Like, all these people are bad,
Moving on to they identify as conservative. So this was one of the things that sort of got me red-pilled, right? Like I kind of grew up thinking or being taught that conservative is kind of a bad word. And that's just untrue in every sense of the way, man. Like they identify as conservative. Conservative equals bad, like traditionalism, bad. Things that are anti-progressive, bad. Why is that perceived as bad to Gen Z, you think, Trey? Or has it always sort of been this way?
I think because they just want validation from their peers. Like, and again, we see the difference between women and men here. Like over half of women have a problem if you're a conservative, but only 35% of men. So I guess what we're showing in this poll consistently is then men are far more open-minded and accepting of diversity than women are. Young women, we're talking 18 to 34s, are very close-minded and very, I hate to say it, kind of like racist, sexist, misogynist, all the ists and isms.
I'll leave a space for you to edit that out. Moving on to they refuse to see the Barbie movie. Yeah, it's a big red flag. If you don't go see Barbie, I ain't going out with you. I happened to see Barbie over the weekend. I thought it was pretty well done. It was an entertaining movie. Margot Robbie looks hot. Again, like first of all, the movie's dripping with satire. So if anyone's sort of offended by that, I don't know what to tell you, man.
I'm not offended by the Barbie movie. I just have a lot better ways to spend my time.
Yeah, and I went to see it with my girlfriend just to
okay, it's
clear
very
up
good.
a few things. My girlfriend, I want to see Barbie.
It's very good you put that in there. Slate went to Barbie by himself. He's in the back row.
No. I didn't go to Barbie by myself. But to my point where I had to feel like I, should disclaim by going to Barbie with my girlfriend.
I would disclaim that too. Oh God, you're bringing up this guy again. Here's the problem with conservatives.
The movement on the need to disclaim.
I think right now there is a societal pressure, particularly among, without a doubt, the right wing and even among the center, where men have been convinced that there is a lack of masculinity in progressive beliefs, that there's a lack of masculinity in, to some degree, empathy. You look at silly little things like the electric vehicle thing. We recently talked about Marjorie Taylor Greene suggesting that Pete Buttigieg's support of electric vehicles is somehow feminine, that it's emasculating for a man to drive an electric vehicle. And of course, there it was homophobic. Pete Buttigieg is gay. And
okay, so first of all, I follow her on Twitter. I never even knew she said that. But obviously, if she said that, it's a joke. It's
Yeah.
so dumb because she likes Elon Musk and he makes electric vehicles. Okay.
Yeah, yes, of course. That's a great point, dude. That's a great point, man. Well done.
Pac-Man does this, man. He says stuff that he knows is wrong, but he'll do a clip out. He'll just focus on that part.
So Pete Buttigieg, being an involved dad, when Pete Buttigieg and his husband had twins, Pete Buttigieg took paternity leave, and he was widely ridiculed by the right. Lauren Boebert even saying, "What is he chest feeding?" That's a quote. Is he chest feeding?
Who's
and
Lauren
again,
Boebert?
The idea that gay man paternity leave, well, it must be somehow feminine. Well, he's just being a good dad. That's all it is.
Gay man paternity leave. No, I'd take paternity leave, and I'm not a gay man.
And by the way,
I think that's cool.
do you see what he did? Lauren Boebert. Okay, there is no such person. He was talking about Lauren Boebert, but he intentionally says her name wrong because while he's parsing what other people say very carefully, he engages in the same BS attacks by intentionally calling someone the wrong name or whatever. Okay, this is why I don't like this guy. He's like this little smarmy, disingenuous.
Moving on to they don't care about politics. That's a big one for this guy right down here.
A red flag? No, that's not a red flag for me, for women. Like, I mean, look, only 29% of men object. I'd rather have the woman I'm with not be worried or interested in politics than have her be in support of communism.
We'll move on to they own a gun. And I was like, wow, okay, this is definitely more equal than I thought. So only 27% of women see that as a turnoff. 13% of men see that as a turnoff, which is not really surprising. It's a little surprising for Gen Z because they sort of seem to be more sensitive. But yeah.
On that one, I'm kind of surprised that 13% of men don't wish to protect their family.
Yes, because that's the only way you can protect your family is if you have a gun.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I mean, think about it. The other way would be to call the police who have a gun. Either way, you're getting a gun there. One way is a lot faster than the other. One way actually saves your wife before the guy rapes her.
I actually, what the fuck? Why do you have to go there? I actually have. That's a pretty witty comeback, man. I got no comeback from that. Either way, the gun's gonna get there. Not surprising, they identify as liberal, right? So 19% of women say that's a red flag. Only 19%, but 33% of men say that's a red flag.
I mean, that 33 should be higher. It should be around 50.
It should be 50.
I don't want to skip over the astrology one. What is with women believing in astrology? It is voodoo.
Yeah, I know, dude.
I
Talk
don't
about,
get it.
Like, yeah, dating in the 70s. What's your sign?
They're doing that now again, though. Is it making a comeback?
Astrology.
I keep seeing women talk about astrology, the young ones, and I'm like, if any, it should be like older women who still believe in it, right? And younger women are supposed to be more educated. They're supposed to know about science, right? And astronomy and astrophysics. Just want to mention this one more time. So all the women who were in this survey are very young, 18 to 34. So that explains their ridiculous answers. I also wanted to point out this this is the first question when you take this survey. Are you male, female, transgender, non-binary, non-conforming, or other? As a general rule of thumb across the board, anything I participate in, if anything starts with a question like this, I either answer wrong or I just like close out the window or like move on to the next thing. You're getting a different cross section of people because people like me will see this and say, I'm not participating in whatever this is.
Well, it's funny because they ask you if you're male, female, transgender, non-binary, non-conforming, but they only give the answers for male and female. They're asking you if you're a male, female, trans, binary, non-conforming, but they don't give the answers. They only give male and female. So there are two genders when it comes to the results, but there are more than two genders when it comes to the asking of what gender the survey taker is.
Oh, that's an interesting point. So you're telling me the people in charge of the survey probably pushed the transgenders and non-binary and non-conforming people into a traditional male or female role for the purposes of the survey. That seems transphobic, right?
Or they just didn't take the results of anyone who was reporting as transgender or non-binary.
I also found this study from Gallup polling. This is dated 2009. Women are more likely to be Democrats regardless of age. Okay. Of course, things are going to be skewed that way, like in that poll. It's just the inherent nature. That's the difference between the sexes. Women are more liberal. They're more on the left. Men are more conservative. They're more on the right.
Guys, leave your comments below and make sure you smash that like button. Help this channel grow. We are Yakcast. Yeah.
And subscribe.